Okay, it's time to go over the July 2023 eBay Standard Envelope Tracking Scans Analysis. That's a long name. So basically what it is, I track 100 random mailings every month in my store and see how it's doing. Did it get all the scans it's supposed to? Did it show up? Did I get scans and stuff like that? So I've been doing it since January. I did it last year, I'm doing it this year. eBay was under 90% in 3 of the 4 scan areas again this month. So we're seeing a trend under 90%. I had 4 envelopes that didn't get a scan at all. So that's still consistent. I think I had 4 last month. I had no refunds or claims in July. I've only had 1 card I refunded for not making it this year, and that was back in January. I haven't any claims or anything like that. I haven't had to deal with any messages from buyers lately on where's my postcard, and you have to explain to them it's at the sorting center, it'll be there a couple days, stuff like that. So things have quieted down pretty much. Now when scans do not occur, it can cause us more work. I did a video about that. It's called Where's My Postcard? And what I do when people send those messages. I have a canned message and I use an application called Canned that I just send it from my phone or computer, and it pretty well settles it down, and the cards usually make it. But I figure if it's under 90% in the scan area, especially out for delivery and delivered, or if it's moving, just any of those, it causes sellers more work. And it's not all on eBay and it's not all on the post office. It's hard to determine where the problem is. Just think, the post office have multiple sorting centers. One doesn't scan, but the next one does. It's very inconsistent. Now I have a little clip here. I put it in every video for people that haven't seen this before, on a real high level of how I think this works. There's a lot more moving pieces than I even put in here, but in a nutshell, it'll show you how it works. I'm going to start that clip, and I used to sell on Etsy, and Etsy uses this type of tracking too. It's just not made by eBay. They call it eBay Standard Envelope, but it's a service provided by the post office with a little barcode. It's not your regular package track that you get on Ground Advantage. I keep saying it right now, First Class, Ground Advantage and Priority and stuff like that. This is a barcode that goes as scanned by the sorting machines. They're not going to be scanned at the post office or by your carriers when they're picked up or delivered. The eBay Standard Envelope does not require an acceptance scan. It just needs a scan somewhere through the system. But let me go ahead and show you this little clip, and then I'll be back and we'll go through the detailed stats for July. Here is a slide I'm going to bring up on the big screen. This is just the process in my head on there, not real detailed, layman terms. I don't know how everything works with this. I can speculate from my IT background, my technical background, but there are so many different ways to do it. But in a nutshell, this should explain to anybody how it works. So the first box there is you got eBay and Etsy platform. They're connected across multiple data centers and stuff like that. They're not in the same one. That's why it's got the dotted line there. They're 2 separate companies, 2 separate platforms, 2 separate programs, applications, and stuff like that. They're not shared. But I just put them in a box to make it easier. When someone buys a postcard from either eBay or Etsy, it goes to the post office. The post office then sends data to eBay or Etsy in some way, format, a file, web services, some integration is going to go up and going to come down. Either eBay and Etsy picks it up or directly goes into those platforms if they have shared access. So that's your scans. When it hits the post office, it goes back and forth into the tracking on eBay and Etsy. If everything is successful with the delivery, then you got a happy customer like at the end here. Even though the scans are not happening, most of the time the customer gets the card and they're happy. So that's how it works. Pretty simple. A lot of information. A lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff can happen. Never really know where the problem is, but sometimes it does show where the problem is. But in July, I tracked 100 random mailings. Just go randomly through my paid and shipped part of eBay, and I pull up 100 mailings. And here's the chart. Now in this chart, at the top, you'll see some headings on there. First one is the state. The state, I want to kind of know if there's a problem with a certain state. So I put the destination state, if it was delivered, where it was. Next one is the label. That's kind of my control title there. I create the labels. I know all that's 100%, so I will always have 100 there with the labels. Because I don't track anything I don't do a eBay standard envelope label with. Then you get your origin scan. This is the first stop in the route for your postcards. And mine is in Champaign, Illinois. And you'll see here in a minute, they're consistently missing scans. The next one is destination. Somewhere through the route, you're going to get a destination scan. You should. To show to people, show to buyers, show to sellers, that whoever's watching it, that it's moving. A lot of times that doesn't happen. And then we get a message. Like we know where it's at. And then you got delivery, out for delivery. That's out for delivery. I put delivery so it fits in the title. So that's out for delivery. That's when it hits one of the last sorting centers. The last one. And then delivered, with eBay standard envelope, even so it says delivered, it is only shown delivered when it hits the last sorting center in its route before it goes to the house, to the mailbox. So people will see delivered and they're hunting all over for their postcard that don't know about eBay standard delivery envelope, and they message you. So I always tell them, hey, it's at the sorting center, it'll be 1 or 2 days, it'll probably be there. If not, let me know. Some people say 2 weeks. I think that's too long. I keep them going 1 to 2 days, and then I hit them again. Hey, let's just wait till Friday instead of saying that, because that's a long time, and it can be a trigger for them. So I say 1 or 2 days is what I found. And most of the time they do show up, and I never hear from them. Then the last column is I track how long it took from the time I created the label to the time the date it says delivered. I add 1 day to that just because it's a sorting center. I could add more and stuff, but I just did the average of 1 day. It makes it the same for all. I can add whatever anybody wants, but you can look at it and put it in there. So those are the columns, and what I just fill it out, and it automatically builds this chart for me. But if you look at down at the bottom, got the created the label, 100% always. Then origin scans was 86%. They missed 14 scans at my origin sorting center in Champaign. Remember, there's no acceptance scan required. It just needs to scan somewhere in the system. Hopefully the next place gets it. And only machines can scan the barcodes. You can't give this to your carrier or bring it into the post office and ask them to carry it. You can't put this tracking number into ESU number into the USPS site. It ain't going to know what to do. It's not like a real robust tracking number. It's just something they use to give you a little bit more than what we had with a stamp and a label. And they have insurance, and we'll talk about that at the end. Destination scan is the next one. 86%, minus 14 of those. So it left my original, missed 14, got the next one, missed 14. There's nothing wrong with these envelopes. I've tried it with my barcode scanner and everything. The way I print out, nice and clear, it reads every one. I had a whole bunch of mailings one day, and I went through and it picked up every one of them. So there's nothing wrong with my printer or anything like that. I've checked that. And I will continue to spot check that. Then out for delivery is the next column. 92%, minus 8. Not too bad. That's the only one that was over 90%. Delivery scan. Just right on the cuff of 90%, 89%. Minus 11 delivery scans. The all-important delivered. That's important because people want to get their postcard. Then I had 4 no scans, and it's at least 1 scan's required somewhere in the system. And then if you look at the post office on the end, the average day is still 5 days. From the time I created a label to the time it got said delivered, plus 1 day, is 5 days across the board. Now there are some higher ones in there. I think Oregon was 9-day average, Utah 7, and then you got Louisiana 7, and stuff like that. You got some 6s in Michigan, but nothing crazy like it was before. This has been pretty static with them. Now I also have a chart I've been tracking for the year, and this is from January to July. And down at the bottom, the blue is your origin, your orange is your destination, your green is your delivery, and your red is your delivered. And if you notice, they took a dip. Origin really took a dip in there in April, and they were down a little bit in May, and they started going back up in June, and they're kind of staying in a trend. They're floating between the 90% dotted line there. And that's just a line I put in the sand that I feel if it's under 90%, we get more work. But the goal is always 100%. They should never do anything with that. They say you're going to do it, do it. Fix the systems. But that's where it's trending, staying up there. It's not way at the bottom. So it's maturing and getting there. And then this is the screen I track year to date for post office. If you notice, they took 5 days. They took a little hit in March. It went up to 6 days. But for April, May, June, and July, they've stayed at consistent 5 days. We'll see how that does in December when fourth quarter hits. Now with eBay standard envelope, which is better than a lot of stuff, than doing a stamp and a label or handwriting your thing and putting a stamp on it, is if it doesn't make it for any reason or gets damaged, you got insurance. You just need to file a claim. Last year I got over $70 back of refunds and stuff. Just not my fault. It didn't make it on time or didn't make it at all or whatever. But this video here, get your money back. Look in my videos for the big green phone there with $100 on it, and you watch that video. I walk you through all that, and I also go through some of the requirements, a refresher on the requirements for the envelopes and stuff for eBay standard envelope, and I walk you through how to fill that form out. Very easy. There are some requirements you need to track. You can't put it in before 30 days. You have to do it before 90. You just got to be a little organized on it, but it's so simple, and you got to send them 2 things, and I walk through all that in there. I don't think any of it's changed since I did the video on there, but it gives you the basics to do that, and it's great. I don't want to fill out a claim, but when I do, it's not hard at all. I'm going to continue to track this throughout the end of the year, and we're going to see what I need to do next year. Maybe I do it on quarterly next year, like every 3 months, or if we start seeing problems in fourth quarter, I'm going to continue, because I think watching this is important to make sure that our stuff that we sell and we put in the mail, we don't have those conversations, and they keep working at it. I know eBay's doing some work on it and stuff, but I think there's some more work that still needs to be done. Thanks for watching. Here's some fish to watch. You have a good day. Bye.